Okay, guys, just a quick review of CEIEI before you write your Romeo and Juliet CEIEI. Now, the first thing we want to do is make sure we remember the parts. So we have CEI and then EI, and we know that C stands for claim, E stands for evidence, I stands for interpretation, and then we have evidence number 2, and interpretation number 2. If you think back to earlier in the semester, you'll remember that we looked at all of these pieces and we practiced writing these and reading these. And so we know that a claim has your restated question, it has your answer, and it has a because statement explaining your answer. Then your evidence it has a lead-in. It has a quote from the text. We do require a quote from the text with CEIEI. And then it will also have a citation. Okay. And then your interpretation is your support. It explains how your evidence leads back to your claim. Because you're just providing a quote here, the interpretation is where you show your thinking. And it's 2 to 3 sentences. Now, the CEIEI we're doing for Romeo and Juliet, it's pretty easy to come up with 2 pieces of evidence because your question asks you to come up with 2 separate people. So each of your pieces of evidence will support your people. So we all know that the question that we're looking at today is which 2 people are the most responsible for the deaths of Romeo and Juliet. So everybody's answers are going to be the same. It's going to be, or everybody's claim, is going to be the same. It's going to be blank and blank are most responsible for the deaths of Romeo and Juliet because. So I would notice this right now because everybody's claim is going to look just like this. This is your C. Now your job is to look back at your evidence that you came up with yesterday when you were doing your brainstorming and decide which 2 characters do you think are the most responsible for the deaths of Romeo and Juliet. And you can really, you can defend a lot of different answers. So you can decide, is it Romeo and Juliet? Is it the nurse and Friar Lawrence? Is it Lord and Lady Capulet and Lord Lady Montague? Who do you think is most responsible? So let's just say for now, character 1 and character 2. And then this is kind of your overarching reason. So if Romeo and Juliet are the most responsible is because they made immature decisions. Or if Friar Lawrence and the nurse are the most responsible is because they helped when they should have known better. Or whatever reason it is, this overarching reason of why these 2 characters are the most responsible. That's going to go right here. This is your because statement. Okay, so then you're ready to get your evidence included. So evidence number 1 is going to be about character 1. Character 1 said blah, blah, blah. What did they say that supports your answer? So what did Romeo say that shows that he's immature and irresponsible? What did the nurse say that shows that she should have known better? So you have to find some sort of quote. So you're going to do that. Character 1 said blank and fill that in. And then it's time for your interpretation. Your interpretation is 2 to 3 sentences. The first sentence, you want to give context. So what is happening when the character says this? So kind of summarize what this quote means or what it's saying or what the action in the play is, okay? So that's the first thing your interpretation does. And the second thing you want to do is you want to prove or explain how this quote or this action links back to the idea that Romeo is irresponsible or that the nurse should have known better. So prove or explain how quote supports evidence. There's a reason that you picked this piece of evidence. So your opportunity in the interpretation is to explain it. you need to show me or whoever else is reading your CEI that you understand how your quote supports your answer from your claim, okay? And then your second piece of evidence is going to be character 2 said. And you're going to find a piece of evidence that proves your claim again. And again, it's the exact same deal here. You're going to do your context. So one sentence that says what's happening when this quote comes out. And then you're going to do one or two more sentences that prove or explain how your quote supports your evidence. So you'll remember from the beginning of the year or the beginning of the semester that you have several examples of this in your binder. So you can go back and look for those. I'll link to some of the CEIEI documents, but this should help get you started with your Romeo and Juliet. If you did not do your brainstorming, this is much harder because the hardest part is finding your evidence and explaining your evidence. And if you've already gathered that evidence doing your brainstorming, then this part becomes easy because this part is just getting it fit into the CEIEI format. So I would recommend going back and doing that. And then, of course, as always, if you have any questions or need extra support, if you want me to look at what you have and provide feedback, definitely reach out to me because I can definitely do that, okay? Let me know if you need anything. Thanks.